Today we will be talking about 5 push-up variations you can add to your workout routine. But first we have to establish what actually occurs during the push-up, so we can isolate certain muscle groups when selecting what push-ups to incorporate in our exercise. The primary muscle groups involved in the push-up are the shoulders, specifically the anterior deltoid, pectoral muscles, which are the chest, and the triceps. Thus, if we learn how different variations of the push-up can isolate certain muscle groups, we can learn to train them more effectively. The first variation we'll be covering is the incline push-up. As the name suggests, this is the action of doing a push-up on an incline. Contrary to the name, this variation actually targets the lower chest, as it is stretched and contracted during this movement the most. The lower chest is responsible for the arm pushing downwards or in the direction of the legs, and by doing push-ups, you're essentially emulating the same movement. The weighted equivalent of this would be a decline dumbbell press, cable crossovers, or even the dip. However, when you're stuck at home and without equipment, you can use the incline push-up to replace such exercises. Albeit it is not a total replacement, as those exercises are often a bit harder depending on the weight. But you can also add weight to the push-ups by wearing a backpack to increase the difficulty and strain on the lower chest. The second variation of the push-up we're going to mention is the decline push-up. As opposed to the incline push-up, the decline push-up focuses more on the upper chest. The upper chest is responsible for the upward motion of the arms. A common used weighted exercise to target the upper chest would be the incline dumbbell press. We can replicate a similar movement by doing push-ups at a decline. Note how my body isn't fully straight in this clip, and that's because by bending at the hips to get a more steeper angle towards the ground, and with your hands closer to your face, that'll be able to stretch the upper chest more and provide more stimulus for growth. One problem, however, with the incline push-up is that it is hard to go through a full range of motion, as your head has to go past your arms to get to the full range. This would be equivalent to an incline dumbbell press, in which your hands go below your head to get a full stretch of the muscle. We can solve this issue by elevating our hands and creating a space for our head to be able to go past our hands without hitting the floor. In this video, I used 2 chairs to raise my hands and allow for my head to go lower, allowing for a full range of motion to occur for my upper chest. Notice how I'm also pushing up diagonally and not just straight up. This is to put more focus on the upper chest, as pushing up diagonally is able to replicate the movement of pushing straight up in an upright position, which will induce more strain and contraction of the upper chest. The third variation I'm going to share is the tiger bend push-up. This is quite a different exercise as it isn't as well known as the other variations. The tiger bend push-up actually is a way to target the triceps and shoulders more effectively, but it is quite a hard skill to fully understand how to do. The way you execute a tiger bend push-up is by doing a regular push-up until your chest touches the ground. Then you move your body backwards by both your feet shifting backwards and your elbows turning backwards to touch the ground. I like to have my foot positioned in a way where my toes are barely touching the ground at the start of the push-up, so that when I go backwards I can land on the balls of my feet. Then you simply reverse the motion and raise your elbows up, shifting you forward, and then you press up to complete the push-up. The fourth variation of the push-up we're going to talk about is the diamond push-up. This is a very common variation as it allows you to better target the triceps during a push-up in a very simple manner. The way you perform this is quite similar to the regular push-up, but this time your hands meet and form a diamond shape in the beginning. Aside from that, everything else stays the same. One common mistake is to flare the elbows out, which will put unnecessary strain on the shoulders and elbow joints. Another thing worth pointing out is that it is a much harder variation of the push-up, as the demand for tricep strength is much higher. To progress, start with gradually shifting your hands closer and closer together, gradually increasing the strength and development of your triceps until you can perform this movement in a workout. The final push-up variation is the pseudo-planche push up. This is a very good exercise in training for an advanced calisthenic movement called the planche. The pseudo-planche push-up is performed by leaning forwards and performing a regular push-up. Notice how my hands are also rotated outwards. This is because this variation of the push-up puts a lot of strain on the wrist if the hands are placed like in a regular push-up. This is due to the center of gravity of my body being shifted in front of my hands as opposed to directly under. Notice how my hands also end up near my waist. This is an effective way to train the front part of your shoulders called the anterior deltoid, as it puts most of your body weight forward and your shoulders have to stop you from falling forward and take a majority of your load. This variation of the push-up actually is quite hard to do as the demand in your shoulder strength is quite high. Some ways to progress into this push-up is just by holding the position with your arms outstretched. This will help your shoulders adapt to taking the load of your body weight, and eventually you can gradually build up to a pseudo-planche push-up. Thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you guys learned something and can incorporate some of these push-up variations into your own workouts.